Nietzsche said, "He who sees too much ends up not fitting in anywhere." That's the curse of awareness. Once you start seeing beneath the surface, the world doesn't seem that simple anymore. You start to see the games that people play, the fake confidence, the hidden motives, and you start to realize that society is just made up of a bunch of lies and that everybody's sheep. You can't unsee it. And then when you speak up, people say you're overthinking, you're delusional. That's not how it works. So you just stop talking. You start observing. And because of that, you stop belonging. Not because you're better than anybody else, but because you know what's going on. You see everything, and you just can't be a part of it. Awareness isolates you, but that's the price of clarity. You might lose the crowd, but you'll find yourself.
Witnessing the beginning of the end, son, because no, that's just not a normal thing playing Doom. That's brain cells that they took from a human, put it in a petri dish, and the first thing they did was like, let's see if it could learn how to play Doom. Like, I read this passage from the scientists, and to me, I'm like, have y'all not watched a fucking end of the world movie in your lives before? Yes, it's alive, and yes, it's biological, but really what it's being used is material that can process information in a very special way that we can't recreate in silicon. These motherfuckers just said they created life and basically have it stuck playing Doom. And it's alive. It's biological. Imagine every time you wake up, you fighting for your motherfucking life. I mean, we kind of are right now, but like really fighting for your life. Seeing demons and then you die, wake back up again, nigga, you back in hell. And then it comes from Steve. He said, oh, this is a significant level up. But we still don't understand how these neurons are playing the game, such as how the neurons know what is expected of them or how they can see the screen with no eyes. Because they're living in the fucking game. Just in my head, immediately I'm like, oh shit, like, it sounds like the brain cells got activated, and now all of a sudden, it may only be a few, but they're living a life in a video game, and you put them in hell. And then I found out, oh, that's your creator right there. They just put you in hell by choice because they wanted to see if you could learn how to play the game and survive. Nigga, that has apocalypse written all over it, son. Y'all didn't sit there and think like, why don't we put them in a happy-go-lucky game or something that's exciting, adventurous, fun? No, you're like, let's have it shoot guns and fight for his fucking life and kill things before it gets killed. You just grasp in your mind, could be wrong, but like, your first shot, all of a sudden you wake back up in life, and nigga, you just have a gun and demons and music is playing, and now you're in hell. You know, why the fuck am I stuck here? You find out it's humans? I'm killing y'all too.
Think about this, how that coincides with our reality, though. Our reality has been manipulated. What did he say? They're waking up and fighting demons and stuff like that. What do we call? Like, look at the demons that we're fighting today. They're eating babies.
This is huge news. Scientists have created a digital map of the entire brain of a fruit fly. 140,000 neurons and 50 million synapses or connections between those neurons. The computer system using AI has mapped out every single one of those connections. Every part of the brain has been mapped.
Scientists have literally put a fly into the matrix. Scientists have uploaded a brain of a fruit fly into a computer, and now it lives freely in its own simulation. Look at this little guy. He's just there washing his hands, living his best life. It has no idea at all that it's in a digital world. Look at this, look at this. He's about to eat digital food. Oh, look, it's so tasty, right? Bro, this is wild. The way they demoed this was using 139,000 neurons and 50 million synapses from a real fruit fly brain. Built the neural model, plugged the sensory inputs, gave it a physics-simulated body and environment, and just like that, the brain performs its natural behaviors of a fruit fly. But it's in a digital world and has no idea that it's in a digital world, because how would it know? It's literally the Matrix. So the crazy thing to think about, if you really want to think about it, is what if that's us right now? Or what if it's something that could happen to us?
patrzysz na wstrzykiwane włókno, które zachowuje się jak żywa tkanka, dzięki czemu idealnie nadaje się do integracji z ludzkim ciałem. Uniwersytet w Hongkongu stworzył miękki, biokompatybilny półprzewodnik wykonany z hydrożelu, materiału bogatego w wodę, który zachowuje się jak żywa tkanka. Oznacza to, że następna generacja technologii cyborgów może nie wyglądać jak miedziano-stalowe chipy mózgowe. Może wyglądać bardziej jak sztuczne sieci nerwowe w tkance. Te interfejsy nowej generacji są na tyle miękkie, że przylegają do mózgu bez tak ostrego niedopasowania, jak sztywne implanty. Dla osób cierpiących na paraliż oznacza to, że wkrótce będzie można wstrzyknąć do mózgu i ciała sztuczny układ nerwowy. A te miękkie ludzkie tkanki, takie jak hydrożele, nie zostaną odrzucone przez układ odpornościowy organizmu. Stoimy u progu przyszłości, w której maszyny płynnie połączą się z naszymi ciałami. To biokompatybilne, wstrzykiwane włókno to przyszłość interfejsów neuronowych i implantów w mózgu.
The fact that I don't hear enough people talking about this is concerning. Elon Musk's Neuralink has gone into mass production, and for those who don't know, Neuralink works by removing a section of your skull and in that place putting a robot implant. That robot implant connects to your brain, which connects directly to the internet. And as always, I come with fact-checked information, so let's roll the clip.
Neuralink to begin high-volume brain implant production this year. The company will also move to a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026, Elon Musk posted on X. Musk added that device threads will go through the dura without the need to remove it, referring to the brain's outer protective layer.
This is not a Black Mirror episode, this is real life.
Where people can't even believe that the files are real. Part 1 was about the cloning operation. Part 2 was the inner circle. Part 3 goes even deeper. While the media is still trying to pick up the pieces and get people to look in other directions, real researchers are picking apart the files and putting it all together. Now, a vivid picture is beginning to emerge. What you're about to see may shock you, but it is crucial for us as the human race to understand. It would seem that the elites are experimenting with tech that they don't want us to know about because, well, they have certain plans for us. It all revolves around what we're going to be talking about today. Immortality. I've now spent 2 weeks in 846,000 files, and what came out of it is a pipeline. 5 stages. Map the mind, model the brain, preserve it, build a new body, then transfer. What you're about to see may seem like science fiction, but sometimes reality is stranger than fiction.
Do you see a path for Optimus to have consciousness downloaded to it?
You mean human consciousness, or?
Yes.
It's not like immediate, but if you say it down the road, would you be able to, say, with the Neuralink, have a snapshot of, or at least an approximate snapshot of somebody's mind, and then upload that approximate snapshot to an Optimus body? I think that at some point that technology becomes possible, and it's probably less than 20 years. Now, of course, you won't quite be the same. It'll be a little different because you'll be in a robot body, and the mental snapshot will not be precise. It'll be probably pretty close, but not exactly the same. On the other hand, are you the same person that you were 5 years ago? Nope. I mean, a lot of things have changed. But I guess at some point, if you want to be uploaded to a robot body, my guess is that becomes possible.
That's Elon Musk talking about uploading a mind into a robot body. 20 years, he says. But the thing is, someone was already funding this research. Every single stage of it.
You already see what they were doing with the brain cells. They had it playing games in the perpetual state of fight or flight, just like us. A perpetual state of fight or flight all the time. Through energy harvesting, non-organic foods don't have seeds anymore. Just different things. It puts our body in fight or flight. You don't feel it anymore, but our body is going through shit. Not getting the proper nutrients. And you're working all the damn time. But you're putting your energy and other things outside of yourself. Perpetual fight or flight, ignorance. But that's what's going on. just seeing the brain cells. Do you think that they already can't do the Neuralink? I just don't believe it. I have a hard time believing that this is not already.
What they've done is, through the injection, they put nanobots in the form of graphene oxide and hydrogel into your bodies, and you literally, as these interface with the brain cells, this causes you to become a receptor, a receiver, and a transmitter of signals. And these can be picked up externally, and externally you can be manipulated. And this is what DARPA has done, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency of the Defense Department. They're working on mind control of soldiers by implanting them with graphene oxide. This is well documented in the scientific journals, and there's companies that, like in-brain neuroelectronics, which uses graphene oxide to interface with the brain to create a receptor and a transmitter to be able to control people's behavior. That's where we're going. That's transhumanism.
The world's second most recognized climate engineer, Dr. Ken Caldera, stating what he did for the DoD was to design methods of spraying pathogens into clouds to infect the populations below.
You could imagine, say, putting pathogens in a cloud, then would rain down on your enemy.
We know in the outbreak of CV-19, at one point, 85 countries were infected in 3 days. That's indicative of an airborne dispersion. We know from Italian researchers they found CV-19 attached to airborne particulates. We know from our precipitation testing, we have polymer fibers and graphene in our rain. Those two elements are used militarily as biological carrier platforms to carry a pathogen from the clouds to the ground to infect the population below. Why is that in our rain right now? Could they, at any point of their choosing, put something much more lethal into the precipitation and level the playing field? Certainly they could.
Okay, folks, I want you to watch a demonstration of Nanotech. This is little micro robots, performing tasks. This one is it moving the fat and getting into the blood. As you can see, it's moving it along there, see? And helping. This one's going to put the circuit and create the light. You see how clever it is? Throws one over. So the intelligence is obviously coming from us. Via some Wi-Fi connection or something like that. But I just wanted you to see nanotech and how advanced it really is, folks. That's all. Here it is. Just to give you a little idea of, what's going on in the technology world, if you like, and where we're at. So, nicotine is the killer. It will kill all this. The Australian scientists have already shown that in videos now. So if you want to get rid of this, I wouldn't say start smoking. I'd just say get some nicotine in you and happy day.
This stuff, it could get in you even if you don't want it to and without you knowing. And if you don't know how to get it out, it's not coming out. So if you don't know anything about this type of stuff and it's in your body and you don't know how to get it out, it's going to stay there.
It's that case that you feel that, you might have some of this in you. Just saying, Just want you to watch what's going on with the way this nanotech works. Very, very intelligent, folks.
We don't actually die when we die, according to the CIA. Let's talk about it a little bit, because for the past about 2 years now, my hyperfixation/special interest has been government/military psyops and FOIA logs and all kind of declassified CIA information. Besties, when I tell y'all the more you read, the weirder this fucking universe gets, and the more things don't make sense, but also simultaneously make sense, especially if you're energetically attuned. It must be admitted that when consciousness returns to the absolute, aka the energy of everything that is, it brings with it all the memories it has accumulated through experience in reality. The return of consciousness to the absolute does not imply an extinction of the separate entity which the consciousness organized and sustained in reality. Rather, it suggests a differentiated consciousness which merges with and participates in the universal consciousness and infinity of the absolute. without losing the separate identity. When you die, your consciousness just becomes part of the collective universal consciousness, but you retain all of your memories and all of the things that happened throughout your life. It also talks about how we're telepathic, how our brains bounce whenever our heart and our brain are attuned. It also talks about how our breathing and stuff being attuned makes our brains and our hearts basically complete a self-sustaining pleasure feedback loop. And if that gets disturbed, it basically puts us in fight or flight, survival, scarcity, lack mindset, which is where most of us are being forced at right now. Everything is energy and frequency, and they know it. They know we're connected to the Schumann resonance. They know the specific hertz that fuck with specific parts of us, you guys. And it's all connected to the weird patents that they have with all the different sensors and shit in our phones that Sabrina Wallace and Edward Snowden have been talking about this entire time. I cannot stress to y'all how much the government and the military knows about the human body and energy and the way that frequency and all of this manipulation distorts us. They know we don't die. They know what happens in the future. They can predict it with 100% accuracy, it also says in this paper. Project Looking Glass, they know they lose in the end. They know they're distorting all of us and that everything is fake and that it's all a hologram, a simulation. They fucking know. So what are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna use the tools of your oppression as the tools of your liberation, babes?
You see, that one, those are what they're spraying in your sky that creates those clouds. Interesting. B-A-A-L. Ball.
Just a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? This is another coincidence.
Oh, shit. Is he holding a baby? Huh. Do your research.
Babylon fall, watch it break, Babylon fall. Now think about the mind control, y'all. Think about the nanotechnology that's been sprayed across the skies that actually can, the aluminum and everything else that can break the brain barrier to your brain, causing different types of things like the increasing Alzheimer's, y'all. Nanotechnology, frequencies, control. When they spray this stuff in the sky, do you see the ripples in the sky? We all can see them, right? These new little things. We didn't see that shit growing up. Let's not start the cap. If you agree that those clouds were around when we were small, then you didn't pay attention in school. You're probably an idiot. But you see all the ripples now? The sky look like it has a do-rag on, like it's working on its damn 360 waves and shit. Like, come on, man. Like, this is crazy. Those ripples, that ripple effect is what's going to be able to control. That's a frequency going through the nanotechnology that is sprayed in the air, which can attach to what? Our brain waves, our brains. Mind control.
6G wants to see like a bat. So you got to have the medium to see. So all this right here is nanoparticles. 6G is 60 terahertz radioactive frequency, 100% absorbed by water. You're 70% water. So AI, the data center, the bat brain, has a map of everything because all these nanoparticles are in everything and on everything now. So it has a 3D holographic map already of everything. Now your phone scans you with such precision, it got your circulation in your heartbeat now beamed back to that tower, which beams it back to the bat brain, the data center. Now you are in that holographic image forever and a day. That's how this is all about. And if they get rid of you, they just beam you a little higher microwave for a little longer time and boil your cells from the inside out. Or if they want to depopulation the area, just say, oh, a solar flare happened and killed half the state of Kentucky, but the people they want to save will be underground at the time they do it. That's the plan, people. That's the plan, in my opinion, my prophecy.
But I tell you, it's the Sixers coming, huh?
Now, many people think he was just kind of joking around or making a little bit of a harmless, funny thing. But are you aware of what Xfinity just announced their new feature on their Wi-Fi routers are? That they can detect movement between your Wi-Fi router and other Wi-Fi devices like a smart thermostat. So this is the going theory, okay? There is a front end and a back end to Wi-Fi. The front end is what we use to have internet on our phones, although I don't use Wi-Fi. My phone right now is plugged in to this cable, which gives it internet through Ethernet. and then it's literally on airplane mode as I'm recording this. Then I plug it back into that, plug it into the Ethernet, and boom, I got internet on my phone without Wi-Fi. I do not have the Wi-Fi on in my home ever. And it's not just because tracking, it's also, I'm not a fan of the frequencies that are emitted from all these wireless devices that we're cramming inside of our homes. Our smart fridges, smart freaking toilets, thermostats, lights, Wi-Fi, new appliances, dishwashers. Your freaking laundry machine does not need to emit frequencies for it to function. It's all this extra features. You can press a button on your phone and see how long until it's done. But now, the going theory or a rumor is, and there may be fully confirmed articles of this, that your movements, think of sonar. It beams out a frequency, and whatever bounces off of that beam in the water, it paints back a picture to the hub of what is going on in the water, what shapes and sounds and all that. Wi-Fi is beaming a frequency. It's not too crazy to think walking through the frequency of Wi-Fi is disturbing its signal, which can then be interpreted by the router and AI as what's going on. A picture, some people say they can tell your heartbeat, what part of the house you're in. Like, I'm not saying that's true, so don't get me, I'm just saying the possibilities of this do extend extensively. Now, what is 6G? And would it penetrate into our skin? Of course, they'll say it's non-ionizing and it's totally safe. And I'm not saying it's not safe. It's probably perfectly safe. But will there be another angle to it and another use for it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
So your phone is spying on your cells. You think it's just for texting and scrolling and taking pictures? That thing is watching way more than you realize. And I have actual government papers proving it. So let's get into it. So inside your phone, there are these microscopic machines called MEMS. Think of them as tiny computers that are smaller than a grain of sand. They track every move you make. When you walk, when you tilt your phone, when you pick it up. And the government's own National Institute of Standards and Technology admits these are real and they're in your device right now. Now here is where it gets really creepy. So your phone has something else called a UWB radar. A radar is what airplanes use to find stuff.
Never heard of.
But UWB is very special because it can shoot signals that go right through walls. So like X-ray vision, but for radio waves. This radar can detect you standing in another room. It can sense your heartbeat from across the house. It knows exactly how you move, how you walk. It can literally identify you just by how you move through a room. So there is technology that scientists built to measure the tiniest things imaginable. We're talking so sensitive that it can detect something as small as a single protein landing on it. A protein is one of the tiniest building blocks in your body. You can't see it, you can't feel it, but these machines can. Now they shrunk that technology down, small enough to go in phones and medical devices. So they're not just tracking your steps anymore, they're tracking what's happening inside you. This is really happening. So there's also this thing called CRISPR. It was talked about a lot about 10 years ago. But think of it as a microscopic scissor that can cut and edit your DNA. So your DNA is the instruction manual for your entire body. The National Institutes of Health explains that scientists can program these scissors. They tell them exactly where to cut and what to change. And here's the important part. It works inside living cells while you're alive, while you're sleeping, while you're listening to this. They're even making data records inside cells that capture what your body is doing and store it like a tiny computer. So here's what we have. Your phone tracks your movements. Your phone can see through walls and feel your heartbeat. There are sensors sensitive enough to detect proteins inside of you that are in your phone right now. And scientists have tools to edit your DNA while you're alive. International groups like the ISO make rules for all of this stuff called biodigital convergence, which is just a fancy way of saying mixing biology with computers. And they've been planning this for over 20 years. So, this is not a theory, this is not maybe someday, this is right now. All the documents are there, they're in one place under personal explorations on my website, under biofield. So next time someone tells you this stuff is fake, don't argue with them. Just send them my research paper. It has every government document attached, every patent, every source. I did the homework, so you don't have to. Enjoy.
Have developed the world's first wireless mind control system.
Control mice with the flick of a switch. The mice were engineered with nanoparticle activated switches in their brains and then turning on a magnetic field. They're calling the tech magnetogenic interface for neurodynamics, or nanomind for short.
So what they use is called a viral vector. A viral vector is a virus, adreno-associated viruses. They change the RNA and DNA. That's how they program viruses. Once they get in, they can replicate. They inject this virus. The virus is used to deliver this genetic code, and then it mutates inside your brain. They're called ion channels. And then these ion channels, they stick to these magnetic nanoparticles. And then whenever there's a magnetic field, it kind of pulls a torque on those nanoparticles. And then the brain interprets that torque as activation for neurons. And then if they have multiple nanoparticles in other areas, and then they allow these magnetic fields to activate in certain sequences, certain neuron paths will open in certain patterns. Auditory or visual, your frontal lobe, which then will cause you to do certain activity or feel certain things. And it's done wirelessly. Imagine if all these drones sending electromagnetic pulses through your phone, through your smart glasses, and then they can have an EEG device in there to read the waves, verify that things are being changed, and then sending new pulses to activate more actions.
Man, I swear, they're just doing too much. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Anything that goes in your body and starts messing with DNA and stuff, I don't like it at all. And especially something that starts going into the brain and starts messing around in there. Nah, ain't no way. I'm sure this will be in a vaccine here soon, though.
Room that I made, it's a Faraday room. It's blocking all kinds of frequencies or whatever. I'm not wearing a
Oh, I need one of them.
tinfoil hat, but I'm pretty much in a tinfoil room, okay? I'm one of those weirdos. But I will let you know that while I was working on these chords, I was just sitting here, meditative, chilling. People that I haven't thought about for years started coming to me. And I was like thinking about these happy, wonderful thoughts. And then I opened the door and I went outside the room, which isn't Faraday at all. It's just a regular, whatever house. And all of a sudden this thought came to me out of nowhere. PORN. I was like, you want me to think about that? And I thought about it for a second. I go, wait a minute, where did that even come from? We're getting zapped with frequencies that are controlling our thoughts. This is how you get away from it, right?
What exactly is this sonic wonder weapon the U.S. used against Venezuela to capture Maduro? Well, a few years ago, they straight up showed us they can attack people with invisible waves using a special device called an active denial system, ADS, which shoots a beam of high-frequency microwaves towards a victim, causing them to stop dead in their tracks, vomit, or even feel like they're on fire. A news reporter tested it out for himself at low strength, and, well, it works. What people are claiming they're hiding from us is that these microwaves can affect our minds just as much as they do our bodies. Tune the frequencies just right and they can technically implant thoughts into your mind, which may have actually been the cause of the yet unexplained Havana syndrome in Cuba back in 2016, where dozens of diplomats, CIA officers, and military personnel described a sudden onset of auditory hallucinations, pressure inside of their heads, vertigo, dizziness, nausea, migraines, and doctors even found brain tissue damage similar to that of a concussion in the victims, which are all symptoms of these microwave weapons, and exactly what the Venezuelan troops experienced too. The Havana syndrome event remains a mystery, but it's speculated these invisible frequency weapons were being tested on unwilling victims in Cuba at that time. Actually, it's kind of more likely that these symptoms were caused by LRAD, the long-range acoustic device, a similar weapon already commonly used by police and special forces. These are no secret, an ultrasonic weapon that launches launches high-frequency sound waves, causing nausea, disorientation, vertigo, and pressure inside the skull of the victim. Sounds very familiar. This one can also rupture your eardrums and cause permanent hearing loss. And I can't help but remind you that this technology has been publicly showcased for over 15 years. Whatever they have now, just try to imagine this, but 100 times more advanced and powerful, like real laser weapons, tested just 2 years ago by Britain's Navy called Dragonfire, which can melt objects the size of a coin from over a kilometer away using a high-powered laser. You already know the US Navy had to one-up them by testing Helios, a 60-kilowatt directed energy laser weapon, fully confirmed and out in the open, which can also fry victims and burn holes through anything like a lightsaber with a 16-plus kilometer range. And then there's China, and well, let's just not talk about China. In fact, China isn't even talking about China, and I don't think we're ready for what they're cooking. Like this giant supersonic laser death cannon rumored to have been developed by them. This video in particular was allegedly debunked to be AI, but I honestly would not be surprised, because talks of high-powered microwave and directed energy weapons, DEWs, have been out in the open for decades. The Pentagon straight up admitted they were working on weapons of this nature back in 2001, where the US Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld publicly stated directed energy weapons are in the early stages of development, and he looked hella uncomfortable talking about it. 25 years ago, by the way. The Department of Defense even had an entire task force dedicated to DEWs back in 2007, and the entire report is available online, which talks about, among many other things, using radio frequencies to simulate debilitating fevers in humans. And if held for too long, it can cook the brain, causing permanent damage and loss of life. A literal fever laser. Even recently, National Defense authorized cognitive electromagnetic warfare as a line item in their budget for fiscal year 2026 at $44 million. What in the hell is cognitive electromagnetic warfare? Are they really using these beam weapons to manipulate our own thoughts? Historically, the technology that government militaries disclose to the public are really what they already had over 10 years ago, and we can bet that's still the case today. Because we have high-ranking military officials like US Navy engineer Salvatore Pace, the man who owns several patents on the most insane government technology ever, like a portable fusion device, gravitational wave generators, and, well, zero-point energy UFOs. This man explicitly warned US adversaries years ago about the technology they would use to fight against them, telling them, quote, "It'll be quick, it'll be very dirty, and you'll never do it again." His words. And everything we've seen are just the infant stages of the type of technology they're using, and they definitely used in their raid to capture Maduro. In Fortnite terms, they're showing us PlayStation 1 features when they're already on the PS9. The Venezuelan military security told the world what really happened behind the scenes, and we can't even imagine what they actually have. Some even citing they are using reverse-engineered alien technology from UFO crashes like Roswell and more recent ones like the Boogosphere. The things these super weapons can do is downright disturbing. And now, especially with AI, this technology is just going to improve parabolically until they can capture entire countries without barely lifting a finger.